NCERTs. There is so much of there's so much of talking that we do about the NCERTs when it comes to the preparation for civil service exam. If you ask anyone who has given at least one attempt in the civil service exam, he'll advise to you to first begin with NCERTs. Now, what these NCERTs are, why you have to read them, what you need to read in them, how you have to read them, is going to be the theme of this video, my dear friends. Vinay Kumar here, international NLP and IAS coach. In this video, my dear friends, I am going to tap into my 16 years of teaching experience for IAS aspirants and help you with the knowledge of why to read the NCERTs, what to read in the NCERTs, and how to read the NCERTs. Here we go, my dear friends. Now, let us first begin with the question of why to read the NCERTs. Let me just share with you, something from my own life where my conviction with the importance and usefulness of NCERTs significantly enhanced in my eyes, my dear friends. I'll just share it with you. Way back, it was in 2011, my dear friends. By then, I'd already given around 4 attempts in civil service exam, and I had cleared the prelims. I had written the mains. I had already started my teaching career. One of my students had went on to become an IAS, okay, and several students had cleared the exam to become they had got other services like the accounts and audit, or the police service, the corporate law service, revenue service, so many services that they had got into. And one of my students had already went on to become IAS, right? Which means what? When I'm talking about a time when already some 5 to 6 years had happened since I had started off my preparation, and 3 to 4 years had happened since I started my teaching career. Okay, I started my teaching career quite early, my dear friends. At the time I had cleared the prelims, I had almost started off with my teaching career. And thankfully, my teaching had helped students. They had cleared the exam. Now, the important thing is, people who saw me after 5 to 6 years of my preparation sitting with NCERTs were surprised, because of all these accomplishments that had already been mine. You had cleared prelims, people had cleared under you. Now, why should you study NCERTs? If someone is a beginner, then he may study. But why should you study? Someone who has already spent considerable time mastering some of the, really big-sized textbooks with complex language. When you have mastered it, why should you go back and do NCERTs? Was the question of people around me, plus my friends who were studying in different cities of India. When they called me and I told them that, see, this is what I'm doing, people were surprised. So what happened? I had clearly come into terms with one thing, my dear friends, that any preparation, if it has to graduate to a level where it can beat a competition of the magnitude of civil service exam, it needs to be organic. This is something that I had come into practical terms with, my dear friends. And those were the times where there was so much of jingoism and cacophony over current affairs. Are you connecting to what I'm trying? Like, people thought, hey, you have to read this magazine, you have to subscribe to that website, you have to get so much material, read that, read this. Okay? And amid all that jingoism and cacophony, I clearly understood, no, I need to build from my basics properly. And look at here, someone who has who had already cleared the prelims, who had scored decently well in the mains, even if I had not made to interview still then, okay, and someone who had helped students clear the exam, sitting back with NCERTs and making a decision that I need to make my basics strong. I need to get my fundamentals in place correctly. And that was the reason why I first sat with NCERTs. But that is not everything of why you have to read NCERTs. I'll come to that, okay? I sat with NCERTs, and this is where I discovered more why we have to read. Now I'm coming to that. Fortunately for me, my dear friends, I had two of my very, very favorite students at that time coming along with me to the library that I used to go every day. So they also started to read the NCERTs one by one, just like the way I did. And whenever we would break for lunch or tea, they would ask me all the questions from every nook and corner. Even simplest of the questions I encouraged them to ask. So they started to ask me questions, and in trying to deal with those questions and answer them in a convincing way is where I got to know the power of NCERTs, my dear friends. I got to know what NCERTs can do to our preparation. I mean, it was at that level that I realized there is almost everything that is there in NCERTs to clear this exam. Seriously, my dear friends. Just that we don't get into the details of the NCERT, and that's where we miss out the God who is latent in the NCERT. I keep telling you, my dear friends, God lies in the details. It's not the devil, okay? God lies in the details, and if you want to see that God, you will have to deal with the details of NCERT, my dear friends. I'll tell you what happened with my mastery of NCERTs. We took time to complete around 28 NCERT textbooks that included science and almost everything that was required for the exam. We took a considerable 3.5 to 4 months of time, my dear friends. 4 months. We did only NCERTs, but it was such a worthwhile exercise. When I went to prelims, in most questions I could see, my knowledge coming to use. Believe me, my dear friends, when I say this, that time when I cleared the prelims and went to mains, okay, even though I had coaching from, even though I had some coaching material from some of the reputed institutes of India at that time, I don't know, my heart and soul kept telling me, no, do NCERTs, they're so good, they have a lot of useful content in them. I went with my heart and soul. I went and revisited NCERTs properly once. Most of my answers were actually written from there. And you know what? I cleared the mains. I cleared the mains exam that time, my dear friends. And I cleared it primarily because of my score in general studies, not of optionals, because that was a year 2012 where I don't know, for some reason the optionals that I had chosen, geography and public administration, were scaled properly, and I don't know, some kind of disadvantage was there for who picked up those optionals that year. But my GS score was phenomenally high, because of which I made it to interview, my dear friends. I hope you could capture the importance of NCERTs in that example. So, what is very, very important is, my dear friends, when we try to understand the reason why you have to read the NCERT, you need to know this. NCERTs are not just to be read once. And NCERTs are not to be read for the exam at the first instance. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? when you begin to answer the question of why NCERTs, okay, these are the two wrong answers. One, just read NCERTs once and then switch on to all advanced books. No. Two, when you read NCERTs for the first instance only, try to see how it can be useful for the exam. No. Both of them are wrong answers for why you have to read NCERTs. Let me combine for you the why and how of reading the NCERTs, because both have almost a similar answer, my dear friends. Okay. In fact, as we deal with the how, we deal with the why as well. Having said that, see, there are a minimum of 5 times. Minimum of 5 times you have to read NCERTs, my dear friend. So if you are someone who has read NCERT once and if you feel that has helped you, then you have only taken partial help from the NCERTs. You haven't used NCERT to your fullest advantage, my dear friends. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? So minimum of 5 times you have to do. And when are these 5 times that you do it? First 3 times will be before the prelims, once before the mains, and once before the interview. First 3 times when you do it before the prelims, my dear friends, this is how I want you to do it, because this is what is going to be most useful to you. First time, okay, when you do it just for scholastic quest. Okay, don't read the NCERT this time keeping in the view, keeping in perspective the exam, my dear friends. Is that clear? So first time out of the 3 times that you do before the prelims is when you actually start your preparation, when you kickstart your preparation for civil service exam for the first time, maybe immediately after your degree or while you are still in your last semester of the degree, just or even when you are in the second or first year, my dear friends, start off by reading it to satisfy your curiosity. Is that clear, my dear friends? Okay, just do it inquisitively. Read for the sake of reading. Read for the sake of knowing. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? Don't do it for, don't do it thinking, hey, this will be useful for that stage of the exam or this paper of the exam. No. Don't do it for the first time, keeping exam in perspective at all. Is that clear, my dear friends? Perfect. That's the first time. Now, you may ask me, sir, but why? When I'm reading NCERTs for the sake of clearing civil service exam, why shouldn't I do it keeping exam in the perspective? Okay, let me introduce to you the concept of invisible hand. There is an invisible hand that will invariably help you prepare for the invariably help you develop knowledge for the exam as well, even while you are not doing it for the exam. Are you understanding? Even while you are just studying, even while you are just reading it, to know and to appreciate things around you, and to appreciate the society, the polity, the economy around you, okay? Invariably, the stock of knowledge that is becoming yours is going to be the stock from where you are going to draw for your exam. So, you don't consciously do it thinking this is what is useful to exam and that is what is useful to exam. That is the first time. Is that clear? When you do it. And why we have to do it like that is, my dear friends, that's when you understand for the first time what is the knowledge in general expected out of an IAS aspirant. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? In general knowledge that is expected out of an IAS is what gets presented to you when you deal with the NCERTs, and the lucid manner, illustrative manner in which NCERTs explain to you the information. NCERTs explain to you the concepts, okay, would be so good, my dear friends, that you actually get lost in the pursuit of that knowledge, my dear friends. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? And that's how it has to happen for the first time. Second time, when you're doing it, you have to do it for the mains. Now I know you're surprised, sir, why I have to do it for the mains? Shouldn't I do it for the prelims? Understand, my dear friend, if next May or June is when you are giving the prelims, you would have started off your preparation in this June. First time when you read the NCERTs, that is when you, let's say, read it from June to the end of July, as you are doing the other things like the optional and all that, you did it for scholastic pursuit. Now in the month of August, September, October, as you very well know, you won't be directly jumping into prelims. You would actually do your preparation for mains before you start off with the preparation to prelims, correct? That's how most people do it, right? So during this time, when you read the NCERTs for the second time, you would have got well versed with the syllabus of mains, general studies mains. So what you need to do now is, you need to see whether there are ready-made skeletal answers for some of the topics that are there in the main syllabus. Now what is this skeletal answers? These answers may not have everything that you need from the topic, but they give you the essential skeleton which you can later flesh up to enhance your knowledge related to that topic, my dear friends. But the skeleton that the NCERT gives to you, the structure, basic structure that the NCERT gives to you related to most topics in the main syllabus is unparalleled, my dear friends. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? So let's say if you are looking into a question on what's the legacy of French Revolution to the world, or what were the conditions that led to American War of Independence, okay, or what do you understand by syndicate in the political scenario of India in the post-independence? Got it? I'm trying to tell you. The skeletal answer, the skeletal structure that NCERT gives to you is going to be amazing, my dear friends, just amazing. So take that, write it down somewhere, only to flesh it up later as you read the next level of books and all that. Is that clear, my dear friends? That's number 2, second time when you're reading the NCERT. And the third time when you read the NCERT before the prelims, that is somewhere in the month of January, you will have to read it for the prelims. This time, what you're doing is, my dear friends, you're going to go to every word, every line, search for the God in the details, and that's where your questions come in the prelims. Is that clear, my dear friends? Prelims preparation is like that. It's about going to every single word there, every single nook and corner, and searching for questions. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? If you actually know, if you actually see and understand this, if you correctly look into the demands of the previous 3 prelims question, if you have taken up the prelims in the last 2 to 3 years, my dear friends, you will correctly know that it's not about reading more. It's about knowing correctly whatever you have read. Is that clear, my dear friends? It's more about depth now than the expanse of knowledge. See, you can relate to most questions, but are you able to tackle those questions? To tackle those questions that you can relate to, you need the depth of knowledge, my dear friends. And you know what? That depth of knowledge requires organic building of knowledge. You have to start from the roots and build the knowledge. That is what exactly NCERT does. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? Perfect. these are the 3 times that you have to do the NCERT before the prelims. And then immediately after the prelims, when most aspirants are busy acquiring this notes, this study material, sit with NCERTs, read it once. Remember, you have a species to deal with called essay, and no other book in the whole of India can give you, can help you with the kind of style that NCERTs is going to teach you to write a good essay. In fact, the style that is taught to you by the NCERTs, use it to write your GS answers also. There are number of books in this country, my dear friends, of much bigger size than the NCERTs. Yeah, but then few can be compared to NCERT in the style. You have to develop that style of writing. And you know why that style is there in NCERT? NCERTs, as you know, my dear friends, are the work of some of the finest intellectuals in the country. That's why. See, exam is quite simple, my dear friends. Exam is easy. But you know what? When we start to make it complicated, make it complex that's when are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friend? Maybe those gestures helped you understand more. Okay? So, once you have to do it before the mains, immediately after the prelims, because it teaches you the style of writing. And that style is a very, very useful style. And once after mains, you will have to again read it for interview. Again, why? Because every time when you read the NCERT, my dear friends, you'll discover one thing, that you had missed out on so much. And so many questions that you had in your head, okay, related to so many things that you started to acquire during the course of your preparation, they all had their answers in the NCERTs, and those answers are going to get presented to you, which is very, very important for you who's going to interview, where more than anything else, you and your fundamentals are checked. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you? Is that clear, my dear friend? So that takes it a total of 5 times, but there are people who do it for 8 and 10 times also. That's absolutely fine. I hope this answers the why and how. When it comes to what, my dear friends, I have to say this: don't leave anything in NCERT. Don't discriminate anything as useful and not useful, unless until something is related to cartography and all that, which doesn't have direct relevance to the exam. Okay, everything else don't. For example, when you pick up an NCERT like India and Contemporary World 1 or India and Contemporary World 2, you may look at French Revolution, nationalism, world wars and all that and see relevance. Then you may see the story of cricket, you may think that is not relevant. No, that's wrong. Remember, you have essay to deal with, and essay requires you to expand your horizons of knowledge. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? Perfect. Superb. So I feel this has at least introduced to you the idea of why NCERTs are important. But I still have lots to share with you related to the NCERTs, my dear friends, which I'm going to be doing it in some of my subsequent videos. Thank you very much for learning from here. See you in my next video, my dear friends.